Hello and good evening. I'm Megan Seeley with Ed News. Our breaking news tonight is a local Edmonton teacher that has found a new strategy to help support English language learners, or ELL for short, with mathematics. This strategy is called the Chapter Walk. The Chapter Walk is a teacher-led preview of the text before students are required to use the text on their own. It introduces students to the elements of a textbook, such as unit objectives, key vocabulary, glossary, etc. For many ELL students, reading a textbook can be a daunting task because some of them may have no prior formal educational experience or they have never been exposed to the curriculum before. Many textbooks use academic language that falls within Cognitive Academic Language Proficiencies, or CALPS for short. CALPS is focused on subject-specific content material. In order for students to succeed in school, they need to be proficient with CALPS language. For ELL students, this type of academic language can take from 5 to 9 years to learn and be proficient in. I know what you're thinking. How can I as a teacher use the Chapter Walk or any strategy to help target all 80 to 100,000 words that need to be covered by the end of high school? In terms of the Chapter Walk, it does not fully solve the problems that ELL students face in understanding the textbook content. However, it is an important strategy to teach that will help students feel less overwhelmed and provide them with tools to improve their comprehension. As educators, it's important to give ELL students all of the tools they need to understand the new vocabulary and material that we will be teaching them. The Chapter Walk gives ELL students the opportunity to first identify the basic words, and second, to visually see how the keywords are related to the pictures. Students have many different learning preferences, so it is important as a teacher to provide different representations of content, especially pictures for visual learners. This way, students can have more of a chance to interact with the language, which acts as a scaffold. The Chapter Walk also adds to a feeling of community within the classroom. Students are able to collaborate and find the definitions to key concepts together, creating a safe space to work together. The end goal of a Chapter Walk is for students to have a clear understanding of how to use a textbook and obtain the skills to be able to use a textbook comfortably. Using the Chapter Walk as a pre-teaching strategy to support student comprehension can allow students to identify key vocabulary and begin to become familiar with the information that will be taught within the unit to them. Now please turn your attention to the video in which we see how Ms. Van Sevenant implements the strategy into her classroom. Just to note, in the video, Ms. Van Sevenant addresses just one textbook, but this strategy can be used for any classroom textbook.
Okay, Stephen, so let's flip to the first page. Can you read the title to me? What does it say?
It says square roots and the Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean theorem. Can you repeat that?
Pythagorean theorem.
Awesome. So now after reading that, what do you think that the chapter is about?
Probably square roots and shapes, mainly squares and triangles.
Okay, so now look at the pictures. What do you see? What do they make you think of?
Well, the bottom building has windows that are squares, and the top building has triangular windows.
Okay, so now after looking at the pictures, does it relate to what you just told me that the chapter was going to be about?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now look right here at the key words. Okay, so these are in the chapter, and they're very, very important for you to know by the end, okay? These are the most important words, so they're in bold. Now, these keywords can be found in the glossary. Do you know what a glossary is?
I think it's a part of the textbook where you can find the meanings of words.
Yeah, kind of. It's not only just every word, it's all of the bolded words, which are the keywords at the beginning of the chapter, okay? So, do you want to try a couple?
Sure.
Which ones do you want to look and define?
How about hypotenuse and Pythagorean theorem?
Yeah, that sounds good. Why don't you find them and read them to me?
Okay, well, the hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle in a triangle, and the Pythagorean theorem is the rule that states that for any right triangle, the area of the square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the areas of the squares on the legs.
Okay, so now after defining them, because the glossary defines them individually, anytime you have a question about the keywords at the beginning of the chapter, you can reference them here, okay? And clarify your understanding. So now, with this, I'm going to assign you questions throughout the unit. These questions are going to help you deepen your understanding of what we're learning throughout the chapter. The answers to these questions can be found on page 496 of your textbook. Can you find it for me?
Sure. Right here?
Yeah, that looks good. So now, even though these answers are here, and they're for you so that you can double check if you understand what you're learning, I want you to know that I need you to try the question on your own first before you look at the book. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, Stephen, how do you feel about this strategy that I just showed you?
Well, it definitely makes me feel more comfortable. I feel less overwhelmed having a sense of what the unit's about before we start learning it. I can also use this skill in other subjects, since my social and science textbooks, I think, also have a glossary. Also, I think having prior knowledge of the terms will help me understand the concepts better and learn it faster.
So, do you recommend this strategy to every teacher out there?
Definitely.
I hope that video provided you with enough information to implement that strategy into your own classroom. Until next time, this is Megan Seeley with Ed News. Good night.